So I want to talk for a minute about the secret place of the Most High from Psalm 91, right? We, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. It's the safest place you can be, of course. But the secret place is Christ, according to the New Testament. And I'm thinking Colossians 3. If you've been risen with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Set your affection, which is your heart, on the things above and not on the things of the earth, for you are dead, and your life is hid with Christ in God. And here's the thing, the way we got into Christ is through death, and it was our death. We were buried with him in baptism into his death. And we died. Our old man is dead. Okay, and we are to reckon, we're to consider ourselves dead. We are to consider ourselves as those who are alive from death, which means we're in a whole new realm that has no history. The history of the flesh is that it doesn't have a history because it's dead. We are dead. Last night, as I was going to bed, the normal worries hit me that have been hitting me for the last couple weeks. And instead of coming up with a million different scriptures and prayers, I just started meditating on my death with Christ. I'm dead with Christ. And as I did so, all the fear stopped immediately. It is the secret. This is a supernatural secret. That our death with Christ is the way to deal with sin. And one of the chief sins right now that we're all dealing with is anxiety. That is a sin. Anything that is not of faith is a sin. Now, it's not a sin for you to, it's not a sin in the sense that you need to feel terrible about it. What you need to do is die to it. We die to sin. We can't overcome sin. All we can do is die, which we already did with Christ. And then he gives life to our mortal body. This is the spirituality of Romans 6 through 8, is that we present ourselves to him as those who are alive from the dead. We present our members to him as instruments of righteousness. And then he gives life in exchange for what? Faith. In what? Our death with him. Say, I'm dead, I'm on the altar, I present myself to you. When you do that, you forget every worry. Worry doesn't, you're not even thinking about that anymore. You stop thinking about whatever it is you're thinking about. And you think about the fact that you're dead. You're dead to the things of this world. You're dead to the needs of this world. You're dead to the emotional turmoil that this world can cause. We were crucified to the world and the world to me. I died to it. Whatever's out in the world has nothing to do with me. I'm dead. My life is hid with Christ in God. There's a new creation, which for the time being overlaps the old creation, so I still have to live in the body of this flesh. But we need to see ourselves in the new creation. We need to see ourselves in Christ. We need to see ourselves dead. And here's the thing. It's not a matter of figuring it out. Like, I want to give an intellectual explanation for it right now, but I'll tell you, last night, and even this morning, and even now, as I talk about the death of Christ and my death with him, there is something supernatural that just settles my fears, settles my anxiety, settles my plans. There's nothing but this moment. There's nothing but me and the Lord. I'm alive to him. I am alive to God in Christ. And I'm dead to everything else, including my own needs, including my fears, including my anxieties, including to all the pressures around me. I'm dead. And here's the thing. I'm still alive. I've been crucified with Christ. Nevertheless, I live. Yet, not I, but Christ who lives in me. The key to Christ living in me is my death with Him. And there's no fear when Christ is living in me. He walks on water. He silences the storm. He takes care of everything. He is the Lord of the universe. All authority in heaven and earth are His. And we're His children and we're His co-heirs. Individually, each of us. He loved us and gave Himself for us so that He could be our life. And right now, in this last moments where we're seeing like the seals bulging with crying out to be opened, but no one's worthy to open them, right? He's worthy, He will open them. But we're seeing all the things that are going to come out. We're seeing the shadows. That would produce anxiety, for anyone who's not hidden in the secret place. The key to being in the secret place, where even though there's pestilence outside, I will not fear, it shall not come near me, is just the fact that we died with Christ. And the key to getting your mind settled, if you look at Romans 6 through 8, it's all talking about the need to die and the fact that we did die. And the fact that now He dwells in us. Our spirit is life because of righteousness. The mindset on the Spirit is life and peace, and He'll give life to our mortal bodies. What life is that? That's the life of Christ. The life of Christ has no fear. The life of Christ has all authority. And what will this look like? I'll still go about my life today. But I'm going to, when the fear hits me, instead of thinking all these different promises and Psalms, I'm going straight to the death of Christ and my death with Him. Because right there is the sweet spot of the Christian life. And I need to teach myself this. I've taught about it, but like I said, I like to intellectualize everything. I'll see a vision before I enter into it. And I have an email thread with a sister who's been meditating on this for months, and she keeps telling me, just abide in the death of Christ. Keep looking at the death of Christ. And I've looked at everything but my death with Christ the last few weeks with all these fears. And yes, God's comforted me, but nothing like the recognition that my death with Christ is the end of everything that's not Christ. It settled me down immediately. In His death, He dealt with Satan. In His death, He dealt with the principalities. In His death, He dealt with the fear. In this death, the fear of death, right? What does it say in Hebrews? That He destroyed him through death. He destroyed him who had power of death, so that He might deliver those who were in bondage to the fear of death all their lives. That's us. He delivers us from the bondage of the fear of death through His death. It's amazing. And He, of course, died to sin once for all. Of course, died to the world. Overcame the world. We are untouchable in the death of Christ. And I'm talking about our soul life. Who cares what happens to our flesh? Fear not what anybody can do to the body, right? No, it is fear Him who can deliver the soul to hell, while our soul is kept in the secret place of the Most High. And that's what we really need, is just absolute peace, absolute lack of worry, absolute safety in Him. That's what the death of Christ has secured for us, and our death in Him. And the enemy just does not want us to see that this is our victory. They love their soul life not even unto death, or they love their life not to death. It's soul life. Suke. It's your psychological life that you treasure and try to hold on to. And you think, when you are meditating on your worries, you are treasuring your soul life. You're thinking about, you're holding on to your feelings and your right to feel them. and your fears and your sense of responsibility. My fears are related to my wedding business, I keep saying. And this happens every year in January, but this year it's really bad because your work slows down and then you get all these inquiries from brides. You're like, why haven't I heard from them? And blah, blah, blah. And as I think about it, it just, it goes into a panic. And yet I have to think about it because it's what I'm doing right now. I have to deal with it. But I don't want to deal with it. I want to not think about it. Well, you know what? The answer is our death with Christ. Who cares what happens this year? I'm going home to be with the Lord. But He will provide for me. He provides for me. I don't have to think about it. My feeling is I have to be responsible. My worry is part of my responsibility. No, I give all the reins over to Jesus. He's the one responsible. Whatever He wants to do, that's fine by me. And if I don't think I can go through a suffering period, you know what? That's only because I treasure my soul life. And I want to hold on to it while I go through it. No, let go. See your death with Christ as the end of all of your ambitions, all of your needs, all of your fears. And I'm not talking about intellectualizing it. It's supernatural. Present yourself to God as alive from the dead. Tell Him, I just come to you dead. I don't even know what that means, but I'm dead. I am dead with Christ. It is a secret place. It's a mystery. It is a place that's hidden. And it's supernatural what He does in that place. He settles your heart and takes away the fear. We really need to practice this. I need to practice it. And I'm telling you, we need to practice it. And I want to hear the reports over the next few days of people who start saying, you know what? I just meditated on my death with Christ and gave myself to one as God is alive from the dead, and I've been thinking about this, and I see my heart is still, and the fear is passing me by. I don't have the fear and the anxiety. Please listen to this. This is the secret of the Christian life, and it's so simple. It is supernatural. It is not dependent on your ability to understand it. It's your belief. It's your faith. You say, yes, Jesus died for me. That's the first part. And yes, I died with Him. That's the second part. That's the part that is hidden from everybody's eyes. That's the part that's the mystery of Christ. I was crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live. Nevertheless I live, but not I. Right? But Christ in me. The life I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of God who loved me and gave Himself for me. All right, I'm going to go ahead and upload this